Welcome back to Fourth and Fantasy, and we're continuing our series division breakdown. Thank you for everybody who tunes in. We got another one for y'all tonight with our special guest, Pete Nova from Player Profile. Appreciate you joining us, Player. Well, as y'all know, let's get into it. I won't keep this too long, and y'all already know what time it is. Fourth and Fantasy.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, I don't follow no script. I make my own lane. Got a spreadsheet mind and a red rat brain. Dynasty beats got that tape in my veins. While they drafting by names, I'm exposing their game. No cap. We study the craft like film room rats. Gyms in the fourth while they stuck in the past. It's levels to the dynasty keep or flex. From rookies to pros, we demand and respect. That's real. And I ain't never need clout for my clout to show. Just a mic I take and a team I grow. This ain't just picks, it's principle G. It's fourth and fantasy where you build your legacy. We 10 toes down, yeah, we stand on facts.
We're 10 toes down and we stand on facts, but y'all already knew that. Welcome back to Fourth and Fantasy, your fantasy playbook to more championship wins. And Rocco, the land of the what?
We are a fantasy football podcast for Dynasty Sickos by Dynasty Sickos. R.I.P. Dolly Parton.
R.I.P. Dolly Parton. It was a sad day today. My coworkers broke the news to me. I was like, not Dolly, damn it.
Man, even if you're not like a fan of Dolly, I bet you your wife is, your mom is, your grandma is, and it's a sad day for a lot of ladies out there. So rest in peace.
Rest in peace to the Dolly. But we have a special guest. It was like I brought up in our intro, Pete Nova. How you feeling, big guy?
I'm doing good, guys. Good to. I know we tried to schedule this a little earlier, and then it kind of things got away from us here. But yeah, happy to be on with you guys.
I appreciate you jumping on, man. And then we got some football to talk for y'all tonight, as always. But tonight we got the AFC West. And before we get into the nitty gritty, Pete, let our folks know a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, you can find me on X at Supernova38. I'm over at Player Profiler as well. Then I do a Substack, which a lot of my work lately has gone on over there. Just some written content. So there's a lot of weekly breakdowns, a lot of rankings, data analysis, and some betting stuff too. You can subscribe for free. But yeah, really just kind of at this point ready for the season start. I probably got. Man, I've got about one more, maybe two, I think two more serious home leagues to draft in redraft this year, and then yeah, I'm just ready for the season to start.
Your Substack's been blowing up quite lately, man. You've been getting some traction. Love to see that.
Yeah, I've never used Substack before. Figured I'd try it out, and it's nice. I mean, it's one of those things, social media algorithms these days, everything's getting pushed on you. If you just want to just focus on sports and a specific area, it's nice to kind of have a place where you don't got to worry about all the rest of the bullshit. So it's pretty good, man.
I say it's a lot better than Reddit because the first time I hopped into Reddit, boy, there's different kind of people that on that platform for sure.
Those Reddit people will tell you to drink bleach like before they even like read your shit. Like that's where all of the assholes like congregate.
Yeah, the only nice thing about Reddit is similar to Substack. Like it's if you're in the fantasy football community, all it is fantasy football. And if somebody posts like anything not that, it'll get kicked out. That's like the only positive. A lot of it's though, it's a lot of wannabe, like not analysts, but I feel like everyone's got like a hard on in that like those communities to just like rip anybody that like puts himself out there to put out some content. So they're a tough crowd.
Yeah, 100%. We got Mike Robb in the house. He says draft Jonah Coleman, log out, win your league. It's easy game, boy. It's an easy game, boys. Hey, you know how I felt about Mike Robb. About Jonah Coleman, Mike Robb. So
Mike
you ain't
Robb
got to tell me twice. You ain't got to tell me twice, big dog. Omar is in the house. Appreciate you joining us, players. Sup, fellas? He says, we got Gino. What's up, guys? What's up back to you, Gino? And I'm sorry, Mike. I did not get that hat memo. But also, I can't wear a hat. Hats never have looked good on me. It doesn't work out for me. That's why
it's almost like a hat. Like it's like a head covering.
Me?
Yeah, is that considered a hat? Is that considered a hat?
It's in the family, I would say.
You know what I mean?
It's in the
It's
phylum.
it's what I do. I'm a bandana type of guy. I got all different type of colors. But Mike also says she's good. Hopefully, Stitches comes out next week. Thanks. Oh yes, your pup. Hope your pup is doing well, Mike. Appreciate you, man. And next time we do talk about the NFC East, you got to be on so I can talk right to you, my boy.
Don't have to be NFC East. Just jump on when you get the pup right.
Yeah,
Mike
just
was supposed to be on last week's pod for the NFC East. And he missed out on some takes. There was takes made
boy
for the NFC
we
East.
got
I
we
saw
got taken
I,
through there.
we got called some names.
Well, mainly our boy Frank. Shout out to our guy Frank.
No. It was on the Fourth and Fantasy.
It was
short. It was on the Twitter page. So it was all of us for not striking Frank with with some harsh words ourselves.
What, and it always throws me off. Like I want people to understand. Like, do y'all first off, Frank is our guy, right? And we're not going to just bash him on live, right? That doesn't make sense. Maybe our reactions wasn't as hard enough. I did say, "Oh shit," when he said it.
But for those that didn't see, it was he would rather have Cole Payton than Jalen Hurts, and apparently drugs weren't involved.
Eagles fans take that so serious. It was mainly Eagles fans, and they get so serious when it comes to their team and Jalen Hurts. Love it.
You're in Pennsylvania yourself, huh?
Yeah, I had a tweet. I want to say about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. I said that not fantasy, just the top quarterbacks that I would take. The quarterbacks I'd take over Hurts, and I think I had Hurts ranked like as an NFL quarterback. I think I had him at like I want to say like 15, 16, maybe 17. And like I think my tweet must have had like 400 replies to it. And there was like there was like a couple of Philly radio guys that responded to it. Like people were pissed about it. I was like, Jalen Hurts is such a sore subject in Philly because the radio is really, really hard on the guy in a really bad way. That it's a lot of engagement bait. So their fans just ride for him like just so fucking hard, man. Sorry, I don't know if we can curse on here.
Oh, you sure can.
Oh, no, it's encouraged.
Yeah, very much. It's not a show without cursing, if I'm being quite honest with you. So.
All right. But yeah,
they got monetized yet, so.
Yeah, they go hard. And the football these days, like I feel like a lot of people are fans of quarterbacks more than their own team. Like I feel like a lot of people would rather like their quarterback be amazing. Like some people would rather like their quarterback play really, really good but lose than their quarterback play like horrible and their team win. Like 100%. It's just like I don't know what's going on, but that's like the new style of fans these days, I feel like.
I'm right there with you. But our boy, that Danny dude says, "What's up, homies? What's up back to you, Danny? Hope you're doing well tonight. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. We even got OGs in the house. He's having his dinner. He said his dinner is cooked and we're here. I hope you're eating well, my boy." But that's
X is a funny place because you could have like the most fire take like last year when we said Harold Fanning would be the number one in Cleveland by midseason. And it happened, and you get like 10 likes, but then you put out a short where Cole Payton is better than Jalen Hurts, and like you get like 40,000 people like with their pitchforks out.
I did steal a meme. Yep. Who did the pamphlet with the? I won't say the word, but I did take that one because it was effing hilarious. I needed that just for the archives.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I know which one you're talking about. I saw the comments. I saw the post. I saw all the comments on it. So I know the exact one you're talking about.
I was looking at my phone. I was like, "Damn! All right, let me close it."
Let's just say the official position of Fourth and Fantasy is not that Cole Payton is better than Jalen Hurts.
100%. It was good. It was
good
for
get that out the way.
For sure. Mike Robb says Philly local radio after a loss is my favorite radio, and I'm not a fan of any NFC East team.
It is pretty good.
And then welcome to the show, man. I think you're new here. But Golium, concerned Tyson owner who is deep at wide receiver, Someone offered me Price and a 2007 second for him. He's also willing to swap Price with Tootin and a third. Is that selling low? It's a 12 team. Looks like super flex. We'll let you hit this one, Pete. Do you think that's selling too low?
I don't think it's necessarily selling low. I think if you told people before the draft started that Tyson was going to have another serious hamstring injury that was going to sideline him for months, I don't know that he would consensus be going as high as he did in rookie draft. So I'd say they would be pretty close. I mean, Jardarian Price was like 107, 108 area. Tyson was somewhere around 104, 105. Sometimes even 106 because a lot of people like Lemon. So you're getting a second added on top. If you need the running back and you're a contender, I think that's totally fine. I would prefer Price over Tootin in a heartbeat. Tootin in a third. I think Price is the better player for Dynasty, and you're getting a 27 second over a third. So yeah, I'm okay with doing it. I know I tried to sell Rocco Tyson in one of our leagues. He did not take the bait there. So
Well, I wanted to tear down off a quarterback. I don't want to be left with two quarterbacks, and I'm not in on Price. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not going to buy an injured Tyson right now on a team with deep wide receivers. So, that's where I'm at with that.
And lastly, before we get into our QB discussion of the AFC West, Mike asks, he already knows your answer, Rocco, but Zay and a 2027 first for London and Marshawn Lloyd. I thought that was a little bit too rich for my blood, but Pete, what do you think here?
I mean, it depends how high that first is. If you told me that the first is a late first, 110, 111, 112 area, if it's like a contender, yeah, I'm good with taking London and Lloyd. But if it's not Zay in a first, and honestly, it's nerve wracking because Zay's still pretty young and he's at least attached to an elite quarterback with Lamar.
Okay.
London's situation, who the hell knows when they're going to get that figured out? So I'm okay with the Flowers and the first.
It's
tough. It depends. How high is the first? Like I said, if you're talking mid first or higher, then yeah, I would absolutely take the Zay side.
If I recall, I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think it was safe to say.
Yeah, I would take that Zay side then.
Yeah,
I got Zay ahead of London in my ranking, so you know where I'm going with this.
I think because I could see both having relatively the same kind of year, especially with Zay Flowers, one, having the better quarterback, and two, having a new play caller that I think would be a positive for that offense. I think Zay Flowers is going to go off this year, whether he's going to touch 100 receptions and probably go where that 1,300 yards is at. So I do think in 2026 they're fairly close, but don't let Drake London get a quarterback though, and let me say this: don't let Michael Penix have a breakout year this year, or we could definitely see Drake London back in that top 5. And lastly, I know I said last comment for Mike, but I'll let you get this one in. OG,
y'all are coming hot.
I offered Waddle and Jonathan Taylor in order to receive. Rome, Hendo, and a 2027 first. First off, I don't like Rome too much. I don't like Hendo too much. Was not received graciously. Yeah. I mean, I'm one of the on the hype train of saying Jalen Waddle's going to have a breakout year. I'm very high on that horse, but we'll get more into that when we get into the wide receiver portion. Let's talk about the quarterbacks of the AFC West, because if we're really looking at it, there's only one team where you could say their quarterback group is, I'm gonna say lackluster, but they're not as big dogs as with the Chargers, Chiefs, or Broncos. Let's start with the Broncos first. Pete, answer me this, man. When Bo Nix was coming out in his draft class, were you in on Bo Nix at the time when Broncos selected him, or you were just like, I need to see it?
I think with Nix, there were some red flags for sure. I mean, obviously, he had his moments at Auburn and then obviously went to Oregon. And him playing a ton of games. I think I was in on him a little bit more than consensus, just solely off the fact that there is this perceived notion that older quarterbacks are not a good thing,
Yeah.
coming out of college, but we're seeing a lot of young guys that come out that struggle, these toolsy guys that struggle, and they get thrown into a situation where it's not an NFL, a contending team, or it's not a team that's got a lot of things built right around them. And then, they just, they can't learn and develop. And then when you have a guy that's played a ton of college games, got a ton of reps at a big school, they tend to come in more ready, more prepared. So that was encouraging for Knicks. I know that the arm was, to a lot of people, the ceiling on the arm wasn't as high, right? But to me, I thought he fit Peyton's offense perfectly. You had Drew Brees, who, with his style, he didn't have to throw the ball 80 yards downfield. A lot of Peyton's offenses get his playmakers the ball in space and let them work, which is why I really like Waddle this year if he stays healthy. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see what Bo's done so far, and we'll see if he can continue what he did last year.
Love that. And when you're looking at Bo Nix in 2026, hey, that was a rhyme. Call me Dr. Seuss. Stop playing with me. Do you consider him in the top 10 of quarterbacks? There's some people that like to just shit on Bo Nix. I don't know I don't get the hate on Bo Nix because he's basically been, if we're being quite honest, one of the better quarterbacks. If we're looking at that wide receiver room, it's not the sexiest. It wasn't the sexiest initially. Now we got Jalen Waddle in there. Depends on how you feel about Sutton. Troy Franklin hasn't taken the steps as we wanted him to. As I was really big on Troy Franklin coming out as we wanted to see, and then Marvin Mims is Marvin Mims, of course. So when you're looking at, do you believe Bo Nix is in that top 10 or should be considered in that top 10 of guys?
Yeah, I don't think yet. I don't think yet. I think 15, even as high as like 13, 12 area is fair. I think there's a lot of really good quarterbacks in the NFL right now, and Nix is just I think he's still got to be a little bit more consistent on some things. But overall, I mean, he's been great. I think with the issue that many have on Knicks is that a lot of people just didn't like him coming out of college. And so, there's a lot of big NFL guys that, are at big companies like ESPN, the Ben Solaks, and a lot of these guys. And the truth is, like, when you're dug in on a player and a take on a guy and that take starts to become wrong and worse and worse, you have two types of analysts and you have two types of people. You have guys that double down, triple down, quadruple down. And then you have guys that are kind of willing to be fluid and say, hey, there's new information, new data, and I'm willing to change my opinion on this person or change my take on this guy. And I think that's why it's a struggle, because there's a lot of guys that pride themselves on that they're these film gurus, film analysts that didn't like him coming out, and now they've kind of been proved wrong, and they still don't really, like there's always people like take like Jared Goff. Jared Goff is a good quarterback, you know what I mean? But like people don't like him because he doesn't run, he's not exciting, he's got a lot of great weapons around him, so they think he's propped up. Like sometimes a lot of these quarterbacks now, like I prefer the guys that can just facilitate in the pocket, that have it up here mentally and are 3-level throwers. Like Dak Prescott's a good example too. I mean, he's a really, really good 3-level thrower.
Speak on it.
So yeah, I mean, I think overall, I think Knicks is close, but I don't think he's there yet. But another season of and Waddle, coming into the fold should absolutely raise this offense up a little bit more. So.
And from our boy Fizzle, thank you for joining us, my guy. He says, Knicks or Jackson Dart. I still don't trust the Giants offense or the people calling the plays. Thoughts? I'm right there. I'm taking Knicks every time, and honestly, it's not close for me. Rocco, how about you?
I already answered in the chat. Knicks easy.
Knicks easy. And then I feel like you're going to go Bo Nix. How you feel?
I like Dart. I think Dart played a lot out of structure last year, and the problem for him is obviously him going to the medical tent a ton. And it's like, if you're going to use your legs as much as he does and you can't keep yourself protected, I just worry long term what's going on. And honestly, I don't really trust the ecosystem in New York too much, honestly. Yes.
I don't
Not a fan of Ben Solak.
my man said F Ben Solak.
Yeah, not a fan. Ben Solak had a I remember Nix's, I think halfway through his rookie year, he said Bo Nix is cosplaying as a quarterback in the pocket. And pretty much basically just saying like he's playing dress up as a quarterback in the pocket because he's just not good. So he's another guy that's just never really liked him. So yeah, I mean, there's gonna be guys that you're never gonna change their opinion, man. They're just never gonna change their opinion.
I'm telling you,
Ben Solak looks like he's the same age as Zach Wilson, so there's that.
Teresa Russell.
Oh, we got ladies in the house. Welcome.
Right. Hey,
like,
so
share,
I'm
and subscribe.
Yeah, exactly what Rocco said. Hey, so I'm in a dynasty. It's a startup. Would you guys trade 2027 first for the 203 this year? 2000. How the hell did you now?
I think we're talking about a startup in the 203 in the startup
Right.
to 227 first. I'm guessing you traded down for the 227 first.
I guess. It sounds like they got out of the first round and then they're trying to get back into the second. Would they trade two? No, I wouldn't trade 2 first rounds for that 203.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I mean, if we're reading it correctly, I mean, you traded back for a reason to get that extra pick next year in the first. I mean, now you're going to give it up. I mean, I would hope you have a pick made already by now if it's going to be in the second round that you're trading up to, and then it just feels like you're just chasing a little bit. So I would probably say no as well.
In my opinion, the early second, some of those guys could still be worth 3 first. So I don't think I'm going to give up 2 random first to give up a second to get a second.
Exactly. Oh, I think on that one, you're just going to let the board fall to you. I think that's always the best, unless you have somebody who you truly trying to go get. That's worthwhile, but I don't think at the 203, I feel like you could just let the board fall and you'll end up getting a solid piece regardless. But thank you, and like we said, this is your first time in here, subscribe. Let's head over to the Chargers, who have Justin Herbert, I can't really say Mr. Golden Lots because we still got Trevor Lawrence out there doing the wonderful things, and I think Herbert might have cut his hair too. But nevertheless, with Mike McDaniels now as the offensive play caller, do we believe Justin Herbert can take it to another level that we see him before? I'll let you take this one, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, I think the offense should be better. I do worry about the offensive line still. I mean, Biotish, the center's out. They have Jack Slaughter, who was a rookie this year, spent decent draft capital on him, but he hasn't looked great. They have Cole Strange at right guard. He's terrible. And he was a first round pick. Yeah, he's bad. And then, I mean, it's really Alton Slater. You're really hoping and praying that, Slater, who did have a setback with the patella tendon injury, he missed practice for like a week. I think he might be back, but I'm not sure. But you're just relying on this O-line, and McDaniels is going to have to scheme it to get the ball out very quick. That's why I think Ladd's a nice play this year. Just because they're gonna have to get the ball out fast. I don't know. A lot of people are on Quentin Johnston. I'm not really in on him this year, just because I do worry that they're just gonna have to get the ball out super fast. So as for Herbert, I think he can take it to another level. But I also think his offensive line may cap that ceiling a little bit, and he may have to try to play hero ball again.
Rocco, let us hear what you got to say about Justin Herbert and this great year of 2026, where right now he is looked at as QB8.
Herbert's probably my most owned quarterback. He's not had the most exciting offensive environment in the past, so it is exciting for him to get a Mike McDaniels in there, who some would say probably not Pete's boss, but some would say he would help the offense. And I like the weapons. I mean, they've added some juice with Keaton Mitchell, third year of Ladd McConkey, so we should see him explode. I would love to see him play in the Z a lot this year and always, always be out there. I do think that Quentin Johnson will be a nuisance to Ladd getting, like that 120, 130 target ceiling. But that's for the wide receivers. But as far as Herbert, it doesn't matter what the environment is. He's going to put up numbers. He runs. He's got one of the biggest arms in the league. And if the protection up the middle, you know, uh, if the pressure gets to him, he can roll out. He can still make things happen down the field. And I do believe he'll have his tackles back. So if they can keep those tackles healthy, I think he's going to have a tremendous year, a humongous year.
Yeah, I think with Mike, especially on the emphasis of Mike McDaniels, where I believe he will bring a quicker passing offense to where he will set Justin Herbert up to take less hits because he's going to be able to get the ball out quicker. Where we saw things get bad for Justin Herbert and him take the hits was when he held on to it, where for those longer developing plays that needed to get downfield, which in a sense hurts Quentin Johnson a little bit, but I think Ladd McConkey, and we'll get to that part, but Ladd McConkey has a year. And then one of my favorites from previous draft was Trey Harrison. I think he gets a little bit play along in those lines as well. So Justin Herbert, and right now the guys that are ahead of him are Caleb Williams, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, Drake May, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. Would y'all consider that? Would y'all consider those guys ahead of Justin Herbert?
Yeah, I have Herbert at 8, so that's about right. Same spot.
Okay. And then when we're looking at the rest of the AFC West quarterbacks, somebody who me and Rocco kind of got a little flack on not being high. Not to say he's not good anymore or he's not still in real football the best quarterback in football, but Patrick Mahomes, right? Where we land on where you have to take him in startup drafts, we either wait to take a quarterback or we like other guys around that mark. But he has looked good, right? From coming back from the knee injury. He scares me a little bit every time he does a little okey doke, and every time I clip I see that. But he looks like he's holding on well. Depends on if Rasheed Rice is able to do a full season. Travis Kelce's looks like he's going to be his last year. You just never know. But the running game should be improved. How do you view Patrick Mahomes in fantasy? Because in real life football, he's the best quarterback for sure. But in fantasy, where sometimes he doesn't always give you, I would say he doesn't always give you elite QB1 type production, but we could see some type of better production out of the offense, especially with Mr. Eric Bieniemy back as the offensive coordinator. I think he's bringing structure back to it. How do you feel about Patrick Mahomes in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, Mahomes, just from a dynasty perspective, he's ADP in startups. He's quarterback 10, so you're paying like a mid third round pick for him, which I think is fair value for where he's going. I do have Lawrence ahead of him, so I'd maybe put him a tick down. Lawrence goes at 11. I just think when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs and what they've had to do the last couple of years, they really haven't ran the football a ton. They've been at the bottom of the league in attempts, and it's kind of hampered the offense. Kenneth Walker should help that, and I think that should help Patrick Mahomes. But from his weapons standpoint, they really don't have those guys around him enough. I mean, Travis Kelce is still going to be good this year. I'm a fan of him. Rashee Rice is going to be what he's going to be, right? A low ADOT player, a guy that's going to be good after the catch. Xavier Worthy's a bust at this point. I mean, I don't know how we can say otherwise. And then, we've seen them consistently pass up on taking talent. I mean, they could have taken a lot of these wide receivers in this draft, and they chose to go cornerback in the draft. So I guess that's their way of saying that they have Mahomes and he'll, elevate talent, which is what we've seen a lot of the historical great quarterbacks do. But for fantasy for Mahomes, I think quarterback 10 and startup is pretty fair. If you're somebody who's not taking, quarterback extremely high in these super flex leagues, then yeah, if he falls to you, I think it's a solid cost. But I prefer guys like Trevor Lawrence, and even waiting on some other players. The super flex for dynasty startups, it's very it's very volatile in that you just don't know what the board is going to do. Some leagues I've been in, when I was doing dynasty startups like 4 years ago, you probably would see 16, 17 quarterbacks go in the first
Yep.
2 rounds. Now I've been in startups this year, last year, and there's a lot of times where only 4 or 5 go in the first round alone, and then maybe another 5, 6 go in the second round. So people are waiting on quarterback more, and I don't think you have to have 2 really, really good quarterbacks in Superflex. As long as you have one that you feel comfortable with, there's a ton of value that we can get later on. So as for Mahomes, I think the price is right, but I'd probably drop him down just a little bit behind a guy like Trevor Lawrence.
Our boy Fizzle is a big fan. He's a big fan of Rasheed Rice, but he also goes hand in hand with Patrick Mahomes. Says can't get Rice locked in with Patty McBurger. KC offense will hit different this year. They better. They goddamn better, Fizzle. I can't take what we saw last year. That shit was so damn boring. I'm not, and we'll get to the wide receiver portion, but I'm still not high on Xavier Worthy. We got to see. Cyrus Allen has been the talk of the town, but we'll see how that goes into the regular season, and then let's see if Rasheed Rice can make it through a full season. Now, let's end the QB talk with the Las Vegas Raiders, and I'm gonna ask you this: how many games does Kirk Cousins get before they pull the hook on him?
Yeah, I think Cousins is going to get a decent amount of games, to be honest. I kind of think Cousins is better than people are giving him credit for. I think he could have a Joe Flacco arc where he, is somebody that can kind of be a backup on teams and start for a couple of games, especially be a bridge quarterback. So I'm thinking 8 games for Kirk Cousins, as long as that O line isn't terrible. If the O line's bad, he's going to get banged up, and I'm sure he'll be hurt long before 8 games. But if that O line is improved like we think it is, I think he gets about 8 games.
And I think we all got scared after the last day with Ashton Genty going down. Luckily, it's only a sprained ankle, but I think that would have very much plummeted that offense of how.
Well, apparently Cousins threw him into that ankle. So hopefully he doesn't.
I did hear that.
Hopefully he's not out there, being Derek Carr, who threw Chris Olave into several concussions. So that could get him put on the bench real quick.
Hey, Kirk got those big games for Kyle Pitts at the end of the year. So, if he can do that with Bowers, I'm sure they'll be pretty happy. I'll be pretty happy if I own Bowers.
Yeah, I don't care who throws it to Bowers as long as they're getting it to him.
As long as they make it happen, right? And if I'm looking at the overall quarterback situation, and Fizzle is saying the problem won't be Cousins necessarily, it will be the team not good enough to really win games, and the fan base ready to see the future takes over. I give Cousins 4 to 5 games at best. If Cousins can do it, if his body can hold up, he's damn near a statue at this point of his career. There's no mobility, and to what Pete pointed out, if the offensive line is not good, he is going to get killed. And it's not going to be fun for them. But if they can keep him upright, then it could be something there. From what we've seen from Mendoza this preseason, do you think they kind of almost like what we saw with Drake May, because he wasn't instantly thrown out there? They threw Brissett and let him get some games in, and then they went to, I believe, Drake May around. They were losing games, and they went to Drake May around their bye week. Do you think kind of the same scenario? When is the Raiders bye week? We got. It looks like it might be.
I think it's later in the year.
Later in the year. Do you think with Mendoza and what we've seen from him in the preseason, You think he's even ready to start, or you kind of just throw him into the fire at that point to figure it out?
Yeah, I mean, I think look, if Mendoza had to play, I think he absolutely can play, if needed. But you don't have to put him out there. And I don't know. You know, I think the one thing about Cousins that'll be a benefit for Mendoza is Mendoza watches Cousins prepare for a game as the starter. One thing Cousins seems to be, is a guy that's willing to teach a young guy, and willing to, provide, any insight that he has, to allow him to kind of get ready and be prepared to be the starter. So I think there'll be some benefit to that for sure. As for the buy, I don't know. I mean, a lot of times we think it's going to be the buy, but then we look at some of these quarterbacks as a late, like Tyler Shuck was in before the buy,
That is true.
Jackson Dart was in before the buy. We assume, and then some of these teams they end up being so bad that they just make the change. And sometimes I feel like ownership makes the push where they're just like, hey, the fan base is miserable. Like we got to do something here. Let's
Like a spark.
and
Yeah.
the young guy in there. So but I still think 8 games. I still think 8 games.
And then
Yeah, I think after the Chiefs, Patriots, Bills, and Rams game, I think week 8 against the Jets would be the perfect time to put him in there because they
Yeah.
are going to get their ass kicked for quite a few weeks. They're probably going to be like 1-7 or 2-6.
I gotta imagine it'll be a home game if they can line it up that way.
Mm.
I would think. But again, if they're miserable, then maybe they get him in sooner. But I would think they want to line it up to be a home game too. So, but
And
yeah, that's a tough stretch of the schedule there.
if we're looking at rookie drafts now, if we knew what we know with Jordan Tyson now being out for a period of time, my Kyle Lemon is starting to get rolled back in. Frank is in the house. Frank, we were just talking about your player. Good to have you. But looking at it now, and I still saw Mendoza going at the 102 in some places, but for the most part, we saw a good portion of Carnell Tate go at that 102. And then you have Mendoza probably at that 103, 104, 105 in that range. Do you still believe if Jordan Tyson would not have got hurt, Mendoza would leapfrog him now, or these guys would still be going in the same place where we saw them going in throughout the summer?
Yeah, I think if Tyson was healthy, I think Tyson still probably the market sentiment would have Tyson ahead of Mendoza. But with what we know now, right? We obviously can't predict these things. I would say with what we know now, I would probably prefer Mendoza. I just think with the Tyson stuff, it's I, I wasn't as high on Tyson, and then I saw the landing spot and I bought back in. I was a Lemon over Tyson guy. I had Tyson ranked. Actually, I might have had him ranked behind KC.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to look at where my rankings ended up falling before the draft, but the landing spot was great for Tyson. I didn't love the landing spot for Mendoza, so I had Tyson and Tate above Mendoza. I think I had Mendoza at 4, but with the hamstring and everything now, I think if you're drafting today, which my dad actually just drafted in a rookie draft today, and he
That's
asked
dope.
me, and I was just like, yeah, I would take Mendoza even over Tate at this point. And it's not because I don't like Tate, but I just really, man, I'm having a hard time getting excited about what Dayball and Salah have done, which is unfortunate because I really still love Tate, and I'm not out on him, but I'm just a little bit concerned because I thought it would look. I know it's early, but I mean, they're playing against a lot of backups and
Yeah.
playing well into the game in the preseason so far, and they look terrible. I mean, it's not even just like some rough spots; like, they just look really bad. So just worry about the ecosystem and the coaching staff there.
I mean, with Carnell Tate not even having a catch through 2 games so far, I'm not panicking over it, right? Because I still highly believe in the talent. He was my wide receiver 1, but to not even have one catch is a little concerning. We're still seeing Cam Ward have ball control issues to where he's getting the ball smacked at his hands. It'll probably be something that he'll you have to just learn to live with. But
Well, you
I'm
gotta be
not.
careful because I know Chev is a big
Oh,
fan of the show.
100%.
So you don't want to say too much, and then you get this one clipped, and
Uh,
Chev's coming in with some heat.
Hey, well, let's be honest. Like he started terribly last year, and he was one of the hottest quarterbacks down the stretch. So maybe some guys are just slow starters. So I
Yep.
wouldn't get too I wouldn't get too wild with the takes based on how
Yeah,
he's
for
playing in
sure.
the preseason because, um, as the coach said, they're playing like their base offense, so they're not doing anything too crazy. They're trying to get their bases set up. It's a new coaching staff. And I'm not going to make a bunch of excuses for him, but I'd rather see this play out than go trip over a new coaching staff for a second year quarterback who didn't have a lot of success in year one.
I
Yeah.
like it. And I'm with it. Let's talk running backs. And this is where it gets interesting because, and Pete, I want to get your opinion on this because I'm remembering a question that was asked early on in the offseason, and it was, who is the Broncos running back to trust most this year between Dobbins, Jonah Coleman, and RJ Harvey? And it seems like people are jumping back on the RJ Harvey train after that
Yeah.
pass receiving touchdown he had.
All it takes is one.
All it takes is
All
one.
it takes is one.
How do you view that backfield this year, man?
Uh, yeah. I think for this year alone, I think Harvey is the guy to just trust. Look, Harvey's gonna have a carved out role as a receiver, regardless of what happens. If he gets better as a runner, it's just gravy on top, right? But right now, you look at him and you say 5 targets a game. You're hoping for close to 40 receiving yards. So 5 catches, 40 yards. Maybe he gets a touchdown and maybe he runs for 20, 30 yards. And then you're looking at a 12, 13, 14-point game. I mean, it can happen very easy for him. Sean Payton's offenses, they love throwing to the running back position. He's been
For sure.
like top 5 in Sean's entire career, pretty much on average to the running back position. And since he's been in Denver, he's been like number 3 in the NFL for targets to running backs. But look, I really like Coleman. I think from a redraft perspective, we're talking just this year alone. Like, I was doing a draft with Jeremiah, and RJ went behind both of them, which I
That he
thought was
did.
absolutely nuts. And I know Jeremiah is a big Coleman guy. I know Chev's a big Coleman guy. And, I talked to Jay on the show, and Jay was like, I don't think it's that crazy. And Jay passed on Harvey to take Coleman. And Harvey was there at like 120, 110. And I think that's where he went. I think sometimes we are prisoners of, wanting the new shiny toy. And unfortunately, I think that's the situation. Coleman for sure looks like he can absolutely be the running back of the future. The game doesn't look too big for him. He looks decisive in the early goings. But like I said, Harvey's just going to be a guy. Sean Payton spent a second-round pick on him. He reached for him. A lot of people gave Sean Payton a lot of crap for it. And people didn't think Harvey should have went that high. And then the guy had 12 touchdowns last year. Like, people don't realize that when you say it out loud, it sounds kind of nuts. He had 12 touchdowns, very, very involved in the offense, and somebody who they love using in the red zone. So I still think it's Harvey to own. I don't really care for Dobbins. I mean, Dobbins is like softcore porn. He's a guy that's like, he's not going to catch the ball at all. You're praying that he goes for like 80, 90 yards and falls into the red zone. And he's obviously got the injury history. At that point, I'd rather take a chance on Coleman later. But from a redraft perspective, we always love these young guys. We always like these late guys. But how long can you keep them on your roster until you need to drop them because of injuries or because of buys? So, you have to be willing to if you're taking Coleman, you have to be willing to say, hey, I'm going to keep him because he's not like a last round pickup anymore. He's not like a last 2-round pickup. So like, you're taking him by saying, hey, I'm willing to hold this guy. Because if you're not, you're passing up guys like Deebo Samuel are going like 126 right now. And like in redraft. And so it's like, you're passing up on good talent in that area. You better be willing to hang on to him. So
yeah, and Dobbins might be softcore porn, but it's still sex. And
that's a bar.
in real life,
yeah,
that offense took a nosedive once J.K. Dobbins got hurt, and they had to rely on R.J. Harvey and some of those other bums to keep the offense keep the offense, in reasonable down and distance roles. So I think that's part of the reason why they brought in Jonah Coleman, because they didn't want one of their guys to get hurt and be stuck in a position where they had to rely on RJ Harvey to be the first and second down back. So now they got two guys that they can rely on, but I still think that Dobbins is going to have a major role. And to your point, Jonah Coleman's going to have to wait, but also I think people have shit on RJ Harvey a little bit too much because Sean Payton knows how to scheme guys into space, and guys as fast and as athletic and can catch the ball as RJ Harvey are going to score fantasy points. So he's definitely a guy that you should have tried to get your hands on, because he will still score fantasy points in 2026.
Well, to point to that, now that Davis Webb is the play caller, now that Sean Payton is still going to be involved. Obviously, I don't think he's going to completely be out, but Davis Webb is going to get RJ Harvey the ball in the space, because I think that's where he's most lethal at. And if J.K. Dobbins does go down, you have Jonah Coleman to be your early down work, and he's shown that he can be very serviceable in that area. But do we really believe J.K. Dobbins? He promised us. He said, I'm gonna be healthy for a full season, and I called bullshit. And then he ends up being on the injury report.
This is the year.
Dude, there's something, I'm telling you, there's something weird going on. I feel like I've seen multiple people tweet it out. I thought the same thing. It's weird how people, when we're chronically online so much, we start to think the same thing. Like, I don't know that injuries are up this year as much as it is like injury reporting feels like it is super hyperbolic right now. Like, Chris Olave gets the wind knocked out of him, and we're getting a report on Sleeper. Chris Olave just walked off the field with coaches, and people are like, what the hell's going on? Like, it's like that hyperbolic like engagement. Like, I don't even know if it's engagement bait. Like, beat reporters are out there. They're gonna report what's going on in each play. This guy made this catch. It's what their job is. But unfortunately, like, it's just being amplified so much from certain people that like we're just like, even with Dobbins, like he went down and then he was back at the next practice. Like, it's like, so it's just a really weird world. The last thing I'd say about this running back room is this. A lot of people think three-headed monster is a possibility. I don't know ever really. I can't really think of many times in the NFL where we've truly seen a three running back committee. It's just really hard because running backs need to get into rhythm. Like, if you're splitting reps consistently, guys can't find a rhythm, especially guys like a guy like Dobbins who gets better as the game goes on. Those guys like Derrick Henry, like there are guys that just they feed and continue to build momentum as the game gets on. And Sean Payton said like 2 years ago, before Dobbins came in, when Audric Estime was the third running back, and people wanted to see what he had because this running back room was terrible with Javonte, who just wasn't himself anymore, and Jaleel. And he was just like, I don't think people realize how hard it is to get three guys involved at running back. It's not easy. So like Dobbins is going to be the guy, and Coleman's going to be getting like maybe 4 carries a game is what I expect, maybe a catch here and there, but that's about it. So you're really just praying for an injury because he's not going to take Dobbins' job unless there's an injury. He's not going to have enough time to prove himself to take his job. And Dobbins is going to play good. So I get that from Rocco's perspective before.
Speaking of a three-headed monster, Mike McDaniels has talked about using both or all three of Omarion Hampton, Keaton Mitchell, and Vidal in that offense. I call bullshit, but how do you feel about that talk? Does that make you, if you own any Omarion Hampton shares, do you really believe all three will get touches in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, I think they will, but will it be consistent? No. I mean, the hot hand approach is it's just such crap. It's just them trying to give confidence to the other guys in the room. I feel like Keaton Mitchell is fun for best ball. I know a lot of people are excited about him. I think he'll be good NFL wise, kind of like you talk about J.K. Dobbins, but for fantasy wise, like what are we really expecting? Keaton Mitchell is never going to be a guy that you can consistently play every single week and be like, yeah, I feel confident about this. And he's always been hurt in his entire career. I think it's really Hampton. I think Mitchell's gonna be kind of spelling him a little bit in the pass game. And then if Hampton gets hurt, it's really Vidal. That's why I prefer to own Vidal in all formats, Dynasty and redraft. I think I've tried to sell Keaton Mitchell. Everyone seems to love him, but nobody wants to buy him for me in my leagues that I have him. So I don't really know. It doesn't really feel like people are matching what they put out there because nobody wants Keaton Mitchell from me. But I think Hampton's, the guy, of course, that you want to own. The one concern I have, I'm more concerned about the run game than I am the pass game with these offensive lines. So,
Mike, Mike, you're killing me.
I can neither confirm nor deny, but it's a hell of a drug.
It's a hell of a drug. He does be amped up like a lot of the time. It's hilarious. Fizzle says, "Genty hurt, love hurt, life in the Hamptons will be beautiful for RB3 of 2026." I'm not as hard to disagree with that one. I think we saw it kind of the same thing with Mike McDaniels talk about Devon A. Chain early, where he was like, "Oh, we're going to see what kind of week there has between him, Ali, and the other guy. He's also hurt now. I'm forgetting his name. From Tennessee.
oh shoot,
Jalen Wright. Yeah, and then it turned out Davon Anchetin led the league in running. Or I don't think he led it, but it was James Cook. But he was up there though. So,
coaches never tell the truth.
Never, man. Crispy, second round redraft. Hampton is way too rich either way. I mean, Dynasty, I think that's fair. Redraft, I guess we got to see it. I'm definitely curious to see how it starts off.
I think he should be closer to 2-3 turn than middle to high second. I think 2-3 turns a good value and a fine value. But if there is potential truth that he's going to lose a little bit of passing work and this offensive line, I mean, it feels like I'm seeing reports that this offensive line's getting their teeth kicked in like every practice.
Daily.
Which really concerns me. I'm not worried about Herbert as much because he can move around. McDaniels will scheme him open, but the run game, I mean, McDaniels can only scheme it up so much if their interior offensive line is just so bad. It has me a little bit concerned there.
Now, let's talk about the Chiefs, who just got a dog this offseason in Kenneth Walker, but he's also been banged up, right? Do we fully trust Kenneth Walker to stay healthy and be the guy for Kansas City? Because we also seen Emmett Johnson have some shine this preseason. Depends on how you feel about Brashard Smith. He's also gotten some touches in that receiving game. So we're making that face, Raga. Let us know how you feel about Kenneth Walker.
Because he's getting cut.
Oh, damn. Are we high on Kenneth Walker in 2026?
Oh, I thought you were going to Rocco first. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rocco.
Man, you cannot find a bigger fan of Kenneth Walker than myself. Last year, I was pissed off all season when Kenneth Walker was splitting the carries with Zach Charbonnet, and I wanted him to stay in Seattle. I'm not as excited as the Kansas City landing spot as most people are. I've been trying to sell my Kenneth Walker bags. I don't know. It doesn't sit easy with me. You got Mahomes coming off an injury. You have basically it could go south really fast. You got Rashee Rice who can barely stay free most of the time. You got James Worthy, Xavier Worthy, who looks like a mega bust. You hope for Cyrus Allen. You got Travis Kelce, who's 36. And it's all on the back of Mahomes, who just had a knee surgery, and we're expecting him to be old Mahomes out there. I just don't know. And a lot of his fantasy production last year, Mahomes was on running. Is he going to continue to do that? We're putting a lot of trust in Eric Bieniemy fixing everything that ails this team, and I just don't know. And with Kenneth Walker, he's had a lot of the soft tissue injury, the groin injuries. Is he going to be able to hold up over a full 17? He's already banged up in training camp. Is he going to be able to hold up with basically nobody I trust as a backup running back. I mean, it doesn't have to be a Jacques Charbonnet level, but do we trust Emmett Johnson to be able to spell him enough to where he's not getting overloaded and he's not missing, 3 to 4 games for the Chiefs? I don't know. I'm a little nervous.
Mike Rob says free 4. If I'm looking at it, Chiefs were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Eighth least rushing yards last year. Mind you, they didn't have a real, to me,
because they had trash running
I was
backs.
going to say, they didn't have a high profile running back in there. Kenneth Walker should bring you some type of explosion. I think that home run ball is absolutely great with him. He can take it to the house, and he also gives you something in the receiving game as well. But once again, can he still stay healthy? Do you believe he can make it through a full 17 game season? Because if he gets hurt, then things can get a little. It depends on how you feel about Emmett Johnson. And now I feel like even with him, and what we've seen, he probably goes up or goes earlier on people's boards. I know some people was taking him in that second round, and if he make it to the third, it was damn near a go ahead and toss that pick in to go get him. But if you're looking at, and this is perfect actually, would you take Jonah Coleman or would you take Emmett Johnson right now?
26.
26.
This season, I would take Coleman just off of the history of Dobbins. I think Johnson has more of a path to having more involvement weekly, but I think Coleman has more of a path to higher upside if he gets the starting job due to an injury, which I think Johnson's not going to have standalone value, if he's not pushed up due to an injury. So that's how I look at it. You're basically hoping there is an injury, and I prefer his situation over Johnson. I also would say with Walker, big fan, but I think he's a little overvalued in Dynasty right now. I'm definitely happy to sell him if I have him. I've tried to sell him in Dynasty. He's running back 10 right now. He goes ahead of some solid players, but we're starting to see a decent tier drop off, and guys are starting to kind of solidify themselves. I guess at running back 10, he's not super overvalued, but I prefer Quinshon Judkins over Walker right now, just long term. And I prefer looking at the next class ahead. I think you can get Walker a tier down and maybe get a first next year and hit some of these running backs that are going to come out. So, but I love Walker this year. I mean, look, I think with the injuries, it's go big or go home. I think I don't really love cuffing your own players in running back rooms, but if you're spending a round 1, round 2 capital that high, I'm totally fine grabbing Johnson later. But I think Walker, if he's healthy, I mean, he's got as good of a case as anybody to finish as the RB1 this year. If he's healthy, I mean, he's just going to be so involved in this offense. It's just really about health. But you can say that about a lot of guys right now.
For sure. I think a lot of guys are dark horse RB1s for this year. Benny, our boy Ben is in the house. Are we going to get some hot takes like last episode?
I'll just say it right now. I'd rather have Justin Fields than Patrick Mahomes.
Man,
Clip it.
We're going. Yeah,
there you go.
Fantasy receipts going to find us some way, somehow. Yeah, some way, somehow.
Consider it an honor.
No, Gino. Yeah, laugh it off, Gino. Because I'm glad you can laugh at it, Gino. We were getting dogged.
If we had Gino on this podcast, he'd say the same shit. He's the biggest hurt hater I've met in my days, besides Frank.
Fizz is hilarious. He has a random question: is Dan Bailey still with the Jets? He did a show, I believe earlier today, where he was talking about the New York Jets. And he was like, "Oh, I don't know why we're talking about a kicker." They were talking about David Bailey, and I had just chimed into the comments like, "Hey, big dog, that's the rookie edge they talking about." But they did have David Bailey as a kicker last year, so it was a good laugh. And Gino says, "Hurt still sucks." Say that shit on your time, Gino. We caught enough flack this week with Philly fans, but let's end it, and then we'll get to the running back rankings as we'll rank the running backs rooms for the AFC West. Last but not least, the Las Vegas Raiders, and we were just talking about Ashton Genty getting hurt, but Mike Washington has shown us a little razzle dazzle now. He done showed us he got sweet feet through that hole. Have we been surprised by Mike
That's what she
Washington
said.
and what we've been able to see? I'll let you take this one, Pete.
I hate to be the guy. It's like, oh, I knew it was coming. I knew this. I can't say that I knew that he'd be in a position this early to be successful, but I'm not surprised to see him having success. I really liked him coming out of college. I think a lot of people were concerned because it took him a while to break out in college, and you never want to see an older running back break out or just an older player break out because you just assume older guy beating up on younger players that maybe aren't there just yet in college. But the thing about it is you saw Mike Washington, he had his best season when he stepped up in competition his senior year. And so when he went to Arkansas and played in a bigger conference, like against bigger competition, I think we saw him perform his best he's ever seen in college. So I also think this is a situation that people have to keep in mind now with Genty, right? This could linger. It could absolutely linger. We saw Saquon Barkley a couple years back. I don't know if people remember that, but he had that ankle injury, high ankle sprain, and then like he just was not great the rest of the year. I think it might have been his last year with the Giants. I could be wrong, but it was one of his last years, if not the last one. But this is Clint Kubiak, who came from an offense where he did run two running backs in this offense and did not have a workhorse. And with the injury to Genty, I don't know that he's going to feel comfortable giving Genty that insane workload like we saw on an offense that's not going to have a lot of talented players. Like, so is he going to want Genty to get pounded through big stacked boxes because they don't have much talent on the outside to alleviate, these defensive, I guess the not defensive scheme, but the
Like
whatever.
there's only a couple players you got to stop for the Raiders, right? You're keen on Genty, you're keen on Bowers.
Yeah, there's nobody really stressing a defense
Yeah.
out. So I just think overall, Mike Washington, this opens up a path for him to get much more opportunity this year than we were anticipating. And I think people have to be wary of that when they do draft Genty. I'm not going full panic mode, but also the reports on him are really all over the place. So even though Rappaport says he's like, this is still a serious injury, but it's not as bad as it. Like it's like it just feels like we're getting very wishy-washy on the whole Genty thing.
Yeah. And then I love that we all, when we saw the news, our first thought was the guy that drafted Ashton Genty at the 101. That one clip that my mind went straight to him. I know that man was drinking bleach for at least a good 12 hours until we heard some more.
I finished up a
news.
draft like an hour before that, and people were the guy that drafted Genty was like melting down.
Genty went in the 5th round of my wife's draft, which I assisted her with. Yeah, so I didn't know if he had blew his knee out, so I wasn't taking a chance. And plus, it's this team is ridiculous. So Genty would help slightly, but he wouldn't make that big of a difference.
See, there's been places for me where I went off and I swapped Ashton Genty for a James Cook plus. I'm a Georgia Bulldogs guy, and I think James Cook is going to have an amazing year, especially he'll be more used in the passing game because he did lead the league in rushing yards, where I think they bring back those rushing touches and convert them into receiving and in the passing game. So, I mean, I'm still in on Ashton Genty. I honestly, I'm not selling him anywhere just because I feel like if you panic, you're gonna put yourself in a bad spot. So just see where the I think definitely tone down your expectations for him early on until he is 100. But I feel
my biggest regret is that I didn't send out more offers for him because I feel like you could have got him in that panic window
100%
of 4 hours. I feel like you could have got him for less than 2 firsts, which most people wouldn't give him up for less than 3 firsts in most most dynasty league, that which basically means he's untouchable. But that was a window for you to get into the Genty business.
Yep.
And before we cut to a quick break from our good friends at Lead Champ, let's go ahead and rank the running back rooms in the AFC South. So, how would you stack it, Pete? Who's your least favorite or least top running back room in the AFC West?
AFC West. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, you're good. I would, man. Yeah, I mean, I still think it's Raiders for sure. I mean, I like the talent behind Genty. I like Mike Washington more than Emmett Johnson, and I like Genty more than I like Kenneth Walker. And then I think Genty's the best guy in the division. So I think it's Genty, and the Raiders running back room would definitely be number one. Then it's kind of gets a little tricky here between Kenneth Walker and Hampton. I would take Hampton in the Chargers running back room. I prefer Vidal and Keaton Mitchell, those handcuffs, over Emmett Johnson and Kenneth Walker. I prefer Hampton over Walker, but I also prefer, Vidal and even Keaton Mitchell, but really Vidal over Emmett Johnson, just because I've seen 3-down skill set workload.
Yeah.
I know if the starter goes down, I know Vidal can produce. And then it is really just Denver at the bottom, and it's Kansas City at third, I would say. Just from a dynasty perspective, that would be how I'd rank the rooms.
I like it.
Yeah. Let's just say, like, you picked a fun division to cover tonight, because like NFC East, we had to make up some shit to make some of those teams seem more exciting, because some of those teams are not very exciting. But
Giants.
I think it's Giants. I mean, even something just feels off with Washington too, the Commandos.
They do.
But yeah, it's Denver last, even though they may have the most well-rounded running back room in the division. They just don't quite have that star power yet. Then I'm going to go with the Chiefs, just because they don't have anything behind Walker, even though I think talent-wise, he may even be better than Hampton and Genty. It's health with him. Then I'm going to go with the Chargers, and then I'm going to go with the Vegas Raiders, just because I feel like Genty is the best talent, the best producer, best talent at running back in the division. And, Washington doesn't look too bad.
Say it for the one time for the people in the back, Frank. Eagles do suck. Let's keep it. Let's keep that energy all throughout. Yes, let's go, Gino. Eagles suck. Let's keep it. Let's keep it going.
You did say that out loud.
Oh, he did. Yeah. Come on, Frank.
Get a load of this guy.
Autocorrect will get you. But we're gonna do a quick break. We'll be right back after this from our good friends at League Champ, where you can win a free NFL jersey by being the number one ranker of the week. Where you got to go against me, Rocco, Chev, Addy, a couple of other guys in the community. They got combine data, they got NFL more comp data on there, and they also got formation data, coach stats, you name it. It's on League Champ. And also look at the new marketplace on the app, where you can sell your fantasy football team for top dollar if it's a contender. But we'll be right back after this. This is Sports and Fantasy. And we are back. If we've been entertaining y'all, make sure you hit the like, share, and subscribe. We got Pete Nova in the house from Player Profiler. Once again, appreciate you for joining us as we go over and break down the AFC West. And we're going to talk about my favorite position to talk about, the receivers. And if I'm looking at it, it could be, if I say, it depends on what team we're looking at. But let's start with the Broncos first. And we spoke on it a little bit earlier with Jalen Waddle And when I saw the news, I damn near ran out the house butt naked to get rested because I've been waiting for Jalen Waddle to get a good quarterback. And Bo Nix is somebody I'm super high on. And if Waddle can stay healthy, I've been on this hill where I think he can have a top 10 type season. How do you feel about Jalen Waddle this year? And what do you think he adds to that offense?
Yeah, I did a show with Adam Hutchison recently on Player Profiler. We talked about Waddle, and he brought up a good point. You know, the sentiment around Waddle, it's unfortunate because he really hasn't had any major injuries. If you look at the games missed, he really hasn't missed that many games. It's really just he has a little bit of that T. Higgins in him, where when he does go out of games, it's like first quarter.
Yeah.
And you know, fantasy managers just have sour taste in their mouths because he gives you a 0 and then he's out for a few days, and people are pissed off. And I think if you look at where he is versus other guys at the position, he's probably in like the 90th percentile for games missed for guys at his level at wide receiver. So I think it's a great landing spot. You know, this is a rhythm and timing offense, an offense that gets the ball in space and lets you make plays, which is what Waddle does best. And the one thing that people forget with Waddle is that when he was in Miami, he had to play the X role in a lot of situations. They didn't really have an outside guy, and he's a $185. Like, he's not a big dude, and he really actually played that role pretty well. He's got to go up against, long, big corners that are going to jam him in press coverage. He's not getting that off ball, a little bit of extra space and separation at the line of scrimmage. So with him going to Denver, he's got Sutton there. He's also got Pat Bryant, who also can play in Sutton's role should Sutton go down. And it's going to allow them to really just move Waddle all around the formation. They hinted at it even today. Davis Webb talked about it, that they're going to use him. And I think this is an awesome situation. Waddle he's arguably in the best situation he's ever been in. I mean, you can look at even his rookie year and the next year after that when he blew up and was really good, but this situation's still better. It's a great team, and he's going to be in probably the best role that suits him the best than he's ever been in his career. So
yeah,
And
Waddle,
this is the stuff I like to hear.
Waddle's a lot better than people realize. His first year, he was a low A dot player. With I believe it was with rookie Tua before they brought in Mike McDaniels, and it wasn't pretty, but he still got to 1,000 yards on that low A dot, 104 receptions. Next year, he started working downfield with Michael McDaniels, taking chances down the field, and then for the next couple years, he had to share the rock with Tyreek Hill and was still, producing at a high clip. He was pretty damn good last year. He got banged up as Pete talked about, but Sean Payton went out and got him. That's who he wanted. I mean, he could have went out and got an AJ Brown, but he went out and got Jalen Waddle. So I think it's a lot. He's got big things in store for him. And I think what happens now is everybody slots properly. Now you got Jalen Waddle as the number one. You have Cortland Sutton, who is a great number two, a little bit miscast as a number one, and you got an assortment of guys that can fight for the scraps in that wide receiver 3 role, including the guy who I think is the leader in the clubhouse, Pat Bryant. So I think it's going to be fireworks, and I think with Waddle being in town, I think that's going to lift up Nix too, who had 2 consecutive top 7 finishes. So I know Pete said he has him in his top 15. I'm a pretty aggressive. I think he can get close to the top 5, if not repeat as a top 7 guy.
I mean, that opens up Gino's question, and he asks, when does Pat Bryant take over for Sutton? Basically, when does he make Sutton just expendable? You think that's the position?
Not this year.
Yeah, not this year. It's a similar thing with Coleman. The tough thing with Denver is just when you have such a deep roster, it just doesn't open up a lot of chances for guys to come into their own. And Pat Bryant's been arguably the best player in camp for Denver, so he's going to be on the field. I mean, that's just it's going to happen for fantasy. It's going to be hard to start him because they spread the ball out so much. I don't think he'll, unless there's an injury, he's not going to be a guy that you can confidently start, but he will be out there. Sutton's contract is tough because he's got about 28 million in dead cap, but he's got 2 void years at the end of his contract. So he could be traded to a team, and the contract could be workable if they wanted to move off him. He's going to be 32 next year. But it's weird with Sutton. Like, he's not a great route runner, but man, when it comes to hard catches, he'll make them. Easy catches, not nearly that great. He makes the tough ones, doesn't make the easy ones nearly as much. So, I mean, he had one catch. He had 2 catches in the Atlanta game where he bodied up one guy at the goal line and caught it and got down at like the 2. And then he had it was like a kind of like a go route, but I don't remember if he stopped, and he just literally just back shoulder one-handed it right on his own shoulder pad falling backwards. So, yeah, it's tough with Sutton. It's just a matter of if the route running falls off, and which he's never been that great at, he's got to be like elite. And those guys like Devontae Adams, that route running has never fell off, but he's also a great contested catch guy, right? Like, with those guys as they age, these bigger body, those Anquan Bolden players, those big body receivers, they may not have the route running, but they can still get those contested catches. And we'll see if Sutton can continue to have such high success in that area.
Kenny Galladay was a cool wide receiver until he wasn't. So I think when he was one of those guys where he was a contested catch guy, and then he kind of just phased out the league. So, and then looking at the other wide receiver groups, and let's talk about the Chargers, who I think if we're looking at it, you could argue they might have the I don't know. I don't think I could. I'm not going to argue with that because I do not like Quentin Johnson. And people tell me to lay off of Quentin Johnson. He's going to be one of the ones this year, and I just don't see it. I personally,
how many wide receivers had 8 touchdowns the last 2 years? It's about a list of 5 people.
Yeah, he's up there. I think I think I did. I ran some numbers today. I think Johnson's in the top 12 last year for just yards per touch too. I mean, we know the big playability is there for Johnston, but contract situation is getting close too. If we're talking dynasty, we're talking long term. We're talking about this room. He's going to be entering year 4, I think.
Yeah.
This is year 4, so he's got that option probably after this year. I think I don't want to speak on the contract because I haven't looked at a pre-show, but I don't know if they had to exercise it yet or not. But what I do know is that it's getting to that time where they don't have to keep him, and they're going to have to make a decision on him. And they did draft Trey Harris pretty high, and I think Harris is going to be involved this year. So, yeah, I'm interested. If you ask me, hey, would you rather Quentin Johnston or Trey Harris in the third? I would take Trey Harris in the first.
Give me that Trey Harris. And to confirm, they did exercise his 5th-year option. So in 2027, he is due a full guaranteed about projected $18 million.
Okay.
So I mean, once again, I'm not the biggest Quentin Johnson guy. Could we see something improve upon him? I just always think he has stone hands, but if he can fix that, and I don't think the long ball will be there, they'll have chances. But I think who I would choose for my wide receiver one, Lad McConkey is the first. Once again, go Dogs. I think he's going to get the underneath work. I think he gives you the best of all worlds, really, when it comes to short, intermediate, and he's one of the deep threats that you can use in that offense. And then you got Trey Harris, who still has untapped potential. It's like last year, he showed flashes, and then they were like, no, we're just going to throw your ass out there to block, and we're not going to throw you another thing until later in the year where you started to see glimpses of what he could be. I hope and I pray that they get Trey Harris the ball, because I do think he could, if Quentin Johnson doesn't end up working out, he could be somebody who lets you go. I was just telling Chef this the other day. What I could view that room as is Lad McConkey, Trey Harris, and then Brennan Thompson being as their wide receiver 3. And then you figure out the tight end spot, right? But I want to see what they do in the regular season. they definitely got to keep Justin Herbert upright. They got to keep that, see how the offensive line goes. I think that running game should be able to help keep things at bay. But if you're looking at and someone going on the lines and saying, "Oh, I think Quentin Johnson's going to have a top 12 type of year," I just don't see that. But if you say top 25 or top 30, okay, we can get into that type of talk. Or if I think he's one of the more people who could be TD dependent for sure. But I'm not. I'm not somebody who's buying Quentin Johnson right now. I know other people are, but I just can't get jiggy with Mr. Quentin Johnson here. And then,
Yeah, he'll be a Jet. He'll be a Jet at some point.
and
They already got their version. They got AD Mitchell. What they need Quentin
No, it just
Johnson
feels
for?
like it just feels like a Jets move. He'll hit the open market. He'll want a bag. The Chargers won't want to pay him. The Jets always have a lot of money, and they'll just throw a bunch of money at him.
What's
I could
funny
see it.
about Quentin Johnson, he was like a top 12 wide receiver for like most of the
6-7
first half of the season before he got hurt, and then he got shuffled around, and Oronde Gadsden basically broke out during that time frame. But he did fucking nuke Lad McConkey for like a good portion of this. He cucked Lad so bad that they had to get Mike McDaniels and his cocaine to fix this situation.
Yeah, I mean, there's there's a lot of the Chargers are just an interesting one because I worry. Like I said, I keep talking. I'm not a hater, trust me, because I'm in on the Raiders, guys. I love Kelsey this year. I love Walker, but like with the Chargers, I just worry that I love McDaniels, but I just worry that they've been inflated to a level that's like I don't know how sustainable it's going to be for them this year. And there's just a lot of other situations that I think are better. Offensive line play is just so important, man. It's just so
Agreed.
and I don't. By the way, I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit, but Gadsden's going to is an interesting conversation too to get to at some point because there's a chance he really dynasty owners were completely swindled this offseason with how high he was going. I mean,
I can't wait to talk about it.
yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it, but yeah, of course, Lad's the guy to own, and I like Trey Harris too. So I'm in on both those guys.
Because I got a lot to say about that tight end room, and I will have to go with a hot take there, where I might actually get called names by Chev, and that's my boy Top Dog. But I got a lot to say how that tight end room might actually end up going. Let's talk about that Raiders room, right? And it's you kind of look at it where it's bad when you're hyping up or you're hoping that a late round pick in Malik Benson turns out to be something good, right? But I do think they have one of the more underrated guys who you should probably select, whether it's redraft or in Dynasty, in Jalen Naylor, right? I think he's super underrated where you're able to take him. Then you throw out Jack Betch, shout out to LSU, and Rocco was very much when he was coming out on that end of or on that hill. But we specifically wanted him to be that power slot guy, right? But that's where Brock Bowers basically resides at. So
See, Rocco, he tried to throw you in there, say, yeah, Rocco really liked this guy Jack Besh, but
Man, Jack Besh, for anybody that doesn't know, his brother actually died in New Orleans terror attack. So after that happened, I was immediately locked in with him. And like Concho said, he's got Brock Bowers basically playing his best position, which would be power slot. And you have another really good tight end with Michael Mayer. So I don't know where those interior targets are going to come from because obviously he's not going to work outside well at all. He's like a lighter version of like a Keon Coleman who should be working inside as well, but he's got a bunch of guys that also work well inside ahead of him. So it just probably won't happen for him for the Raiders, but he needs to go somewhere else so he can break out. I still believe in you, Jack Besh. You can do it. Get the hell out of the Raiders organization.
By the way, I don't think he sucks. I was just kind of kidding there, but he's in a really really tough spot.
It doesn't look good. I mean, face plants, first 2 years, it's not a good hit rate. I will admit that, but I still believe. And
I
if you
believe in
drop
him
him,
more
I'm
than
putting him on the end of my bench.
I believe in Dante Thornton. I think you should put Dante Thornton in a pack and smoke his ass right now.
He's in the shadow realm.
I think the biggest question is like, who do you guys think could emerge as a producer with the wide receivers? Because
Naylor.
we know Brock Bowers is going to get his. We know Michael Mayer is going to get a certain amount of targets, but somebody by the process of the target pie is going to have to get fed. Do we think it's going to be evenly spread, or do we think a guy like Trey Tucker, like a guy like Jalen Naylor, Malik Benson, who some people like, not me? Just tell me, who do you think will emerge to maybe not be a league winner, but who will be maybe like a wide receiver 3?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's Naylor too. I think he'll just be more involved consistently week by week. I mean, you can sell me on Trey Tucker for best ball, if you prefer that format, because he's got that ceiling on the big plays. And I think Tucker, they are saying they feel like he is their quote unquote wide receiver one, so to speak. But I think Naylor is just going to be better because he'll be able to kind of run more routes and have a better route tree than Tucker will. So
We're like this right now, Pete. We're like this right now. I've been one of the buyers on Jalen Naylor this season, mind you. On as a wide receiver 3, if I'm remembering correctly, he has scored in the last 2 years. I believe it was either between 8 to 11 touchdowns as the wide receiver 3 in the Minnesota office that was being led last year for a little bit by every goddamn quarterback out there between Carson Wentz. We had JJ Boo Boo McCarthy out there, and that lost against a quarterback that's the same height as me. God damn it. Okay, so
And that's short.
so
hey, I'm not that tall either. Don't worry about it.
Hey, shout out to our short kings out there. We out here doing it well. But I believe that Jalen Naylor can be somebody that they'll end up relying on outside of Bowers when Genty gets back to full health outside of him. And then I could see Malik Benson ending up at the end of the season being a bigger part of that offense as it all plays out. Now, let's turn our attention to the Kansas City Chiefs. And let's go to cell block E, where Rasheed Rice just got released from. And he, as somebody, I don't have too much Rasheed Rice. Or actually, I'll take this back. I don't have any Rasheed Rice on any of my fantasy football teams because of, I think he's just one mistake away from a year suspension or to the point where a long-term suspension. And honestly, when we're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs, what really hurt me in looking at the offense last year was how slow it looked. There was no explosiveness. There was no like actual big plays from them. It's like Kelsey, he caught the ball, he got down, and then Rasheed Rice, when he got back in there, kind of resumed his thing. But then Xavier Worthy, we're still waiting for him to make that step. He has flashes, he has glimpses. Hell, we had Tyquan Thornton making plays out there. And then what hurts my soul to talk about, Jalen Worlds, who I was really big on coming out of the draft. He wasn't as evolved as I wanted to be, but he also, first off, for the draft, was hurt. Then around the combine time, then got banged up again in training camp. So he was slow to begin the season off and kind of just never really got his foot going forward. And then we got our boy Cyrus Allen, who is a fan of the pod. Shout out to him. We did a TikTok on him earlier in the draft process, and he was like, "I'm a dog." He said, "I can play that slot, but I also be on that outside." And we've been seeing that. It's almost like he's almost made people forget about Jalen Waddles and where he had some fun. He had some fun reps against Macer Delane. He's been kind of tearing up the training camp. Also to the point where when injuries reporters came out, oh, he hurt himself in practice. We were like, God damn, why the hell was he on special teams? Why the you know what I mean? I was one of those folks, but then I kind of stepped back and I was
Because
like,
he's a 5th-round pick.
right, exactly, right.
That's why he's
Right.
on special teams. You got to earn your keep.
So to relate to that on the Cyrus Allen hype, are you believing in it? Do you actually think he can carry on this, what I guess where he's at now, into the regular season and be out? Because at the point we got Rashid Rice as wide receiver 1. We got to think Xavier Worthy just by default in politics is wide receiver 2.
He's fucking shaky. He
I
can
mean,
be overtaken this year.
He's doing the Dougie at the moment, but you know what I mean.
He could easily be a situational deep threat and be that could be the rest of his career.
Do you think Cyrus Allen can play himself into that wide receiver 2?
Yeah, I mean, Worthy's funny because I drafted twice over the weekend, and like it was like the guy that nobody wanted to touch. I mean, his ADP was like the biggest outlier from where he was and who was left on the board. He was like the biggest faller. Allen, I'm a believer. I also am of the opinion of many times. Typically, when guys get hyped up in camp that were late round picks, I try to flip for profits when I can. With Allen, I didn't want to flip him, but I have a really strong receiving room in one of my dynasty leagues. So I made a deal where I flipped him straight up for J.K. Dobbins. Obviously, you just heard my takes on Dobbins. I'm not a big fan of Dobbins, but I needed the depth. And I said, you know what? There's a chance Cyrus doesn't end up doing anything, right? But with that said, I am still a believer in Allen. I think he's a good pick. I've got him in a couple of redraft leagues already this year. So yeah, I mean, again, this is a room that just doesn't have much talent. So if you're talented and you're getting opportunity to show that talent, and if you believe in a guy's talented and he's getting opportunities to show the talent, then how could you be out on him, right? That's as simple as I can make it. Now, you might sit there and say, well, he's going to get on the field, he's going to get some work, but it's not going to be enough to confidently start him in fantasy. That could be another discussion for sure, but the upside of being paired with Mahomes in this offense where there are targets to go around, it's hard to pass up on that.
Not yet. No, but we're not there yet. We're getting there. Very close. We're almost close to monetizing. Keep supporting. We're going to get there. But if you want to, if you do want to
send the Venmo,
send that Venmo.
Send that Venmo. Hey, let me flash that Cash App.
You know what I'm saying? Hit that pockets, my boy.
I take tips.
Appreciate you.
That's the tip.
You know what I'm saying? So no, really appreciate that. No bueno.
Where were we?
We were on the Cyrus.
Like, share, and subscribe, man. That helps
for sure.
out more,
I think we can end the wide receivers discussion on it. I think if you're able, almost like this Mike Washington situation, where you probably got him somewhere around that third round mark. Yeah. Cyrus Allen was going in the third, sometimes fourth, hell, sometimes even on the waivers.
I got him on waivers.
Exactly. And I know some folks that turned him that into a 2027 second. And I think that's the way to play it. Honestly, I love me some Cyrus Allen too. But if I can turn a player that I got off of waivers into a second, you're doing it right. You're doing it correct, in my opinion.
That's winning on the margins right there.
Right.
Yeah, that's where he creates super teams. Was a good example of it last year. I mean, he had 8 touchdowns and he wasn't bad for a rookie, but he's a great example. You probably can't get this year what you might have got for him last year going into the season.
100%. And let's go ahead and rank the wide receivers, and then we can end it off with the tight ends. How would we rank these guys? Let's go with you, Pete.
Yeah, I think finally for the first time, I can confidently say Denver's got the strongest room here. There's not much to go into. I think it's pretty obvious that their room is the best. Pat Bryant's a number 3. I think if Bryant was on KC, he'd be a top 20 to 25 pick in fantasy this year alone if he was there. I genuinely think he could be that good. So I think Denver's at 1. I think the Chargers would be at number 2 pretty easily just because you have Ladd, and I'm a fan of Ladd over Rice. I prefer Ladd over Rice in Dynasty. And then you just talk about the depth what's behind both guys. There's not much. I mean, if you're still clinging on the sunk cost of Xavier Worthy, just because he was a first-round pick, maybe then you feel confident enough to put him there. But Quinn Johnston's also a first-round pick too, and he's actually done more than Worthy, and he's gotten a lot more shit than Xavier Worthy. I mean, it feels like nobody really craps on the Xavier Worthy pick. I don't exactly know why, but QJ gets way more flack.
Agreed.
Which I guess I don't really know why that is, but usually I can draw conclusions, but I can't there. And then, I mean, it would be KC and then it'd be the Raiders for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the Chiefs have had their draft picks overrated for a long time now. We had Sky Moore, who was steamed up to the second round. We had remember Mecole Hardman a few years ago. Everybody wanted.
Hold on! Don't talk about my dogs like that. Don't talk about.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that he sucks, bro. It's okay.
He just
not everybody could be good at football. So yeah, Mecole Hardman, Xavier Worthy, some of those tight ends we get steamed up into draftable positions.
Yep.
That's what it is. It's the allure of what Patrick Mahomes is in real life that sprinkles some of that fantasy dust on those other guys, and they have failed over and over again. But yeah, I pretty much agree with Pete. I think it's pretty easy. I think it's definitely it's pretty easy to see that there's a definitive order of things. Denver has the most put together wide receiver group where everything fits and everybody knows their role on the team, and everybody has separate things that they're good at, and they have a lot of depth at the wide receiver position.
Yeah.
LA, but just by having Ladd McConkey, and even though you don't like him, he has put up numbers. Quentin Johnson. I'm not gonna lie, if Brock Bowers was labeled a tight end / wide receiver, I would have the Raiders number 3 here, just because I don't trust a lot of what's going on in Kansas City. I'm gonna have a lot of egg on my face if their offense bounces back like it did a couple years ago, but I have reservations. And the Raiders, I mean,
the Raiders.
I don't know what they're doing over there. They got a bunch of wide receiver 3 types.
They tried it. I feel like they keep trying it, but they're trying it with the wrong guys, right? So, I mean, when was the last time we really like Amari Cooper? I gotta keep going back in their history to really like when was the last time Raiders had a bona fide wide receiver? You were like, you know what? I need that guy on my squad. And they ran Amari Cooper out of town too. Hell, Randy Moss damn near wanted to exile himself. So it just kind of happened.
Moss wasn't even running the routes when he was when he was at the Raiders. They would snap the ball and he'd just stay at the same position, not even getting to a stance. Like, that's how much he hated being in what was that, Los Angeles, Oakland back then?
It was Oakland for sure. Yeah, back then it was Oakland. Now, ending off on the tight ends, man, and I'm ready for my hot take, y'all. Okay. I would have started with the Broncos, but let's start with the goddamn Chargers first. And I'm here to say, let me get my microphone right here a little closer to me.
Let me tag Chef real quick so he can hear this. I'm definitely cutting this one.
Charlie Kohler will lead the Chargers tight end room in 2026. He will have the most receiving yards of those 3.
Oh, man, it's getting late on the East Coast.
David Njoku, between Oronde Gasson, Charlie Kohler will lead that tight end room in Los Angeles. And I know Chef is out there probably biting his tongue. I'm gonna wake up to a whole lot of messages from that man. But I just want to be here first. I'd rather be the lonely one on the hill and stand 10 toes on the tape. And I feel like people go back to Well, he wasn't really used in Baltimore, but Mark Andrews is one of the better modern tight ends that we've had during our times. And then Isaiah Likely also has flashed during those times. Hey, no, the hell is not, Mike. Don't you damn don't you down don't you down the hell it is. Don't the hell
Oh
it is.
man, I'm glad
Gino,
you
thank
brought your
you.
most toxic
Thank,
take
thank you, Gino. Kohler would get the most snaps for sure. I mean, he's also a
as the
block.
sixth offensive lineman for sure.
I think, I mean, with the offensive line, and this is what I think of Charlie Kohler because of the offensive line is banged up and not at its full. He will be counted on more to be used on offense. And who was the first tight end thrown out there in the preseason that we seen with Justin Herbert? It was Charlie Kohler. So I am 100% on the Charlie Kohler Hill. But if it comes back to right, I don't know where the fuck that comment came from.
I
But
just created a Twitch account and I don't know, it's twitching right now.
uh, but I
I
do
think we
think
got a thought bot in the chat.
but like Pete, you spoke on it earlier where people got caught off a straight because we all saw what Aronde Gasson did last year, and you thought you would think that all right, we're gonna make this guy our tight end one, but people forget blocking is still very much needed at the tight end position, even if you are a receiver or a receiving tight end. Where I still think he'll be flexed out, but in line for sure, I think they'll go David Njoku and Kohler. But do you think Aronde Gatson, and this might be the time to go get Aronde Gatson right now, where his value is where it's at? Are you still in on Aronde for this year?
No, I'm not. I mean his price is cheap, so you can take chances, but I'd rather go after guys like Terrence Ferguson, Jawan Johnson as well. I'm a huge fan of Jawan Johnson from the Saints. You could get Dallas Goedert pretty cheap this year. I mean, there's a lot of options at tight end, and the truth is, tight end is just that position that if you don't have an elite guy, you don't really got much because the points per game difference from the tight end 6 to like the tight end 15 is like 1.5. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's really, really not that much of a gap. So that's why I typically like to wait on tight end in Dynasty and in redraft. Just because if I'm not getting elite one, the rest of them all look the same. And the truth is, Mike McDaniels was in Miami when Mike Gesicki was in Miami, and Mike Gesicki was a frustrating player too. Didn't block very well, great receiver, right? But there was a lot of time where Mike Gesicki just didn't feel like he was being utilized too much because he wasn't a blocker. And so when McDaniels came in and came over, I think I don't want to say it was a death sentence for Gadsden, but I just don't think it really matches his skill set a ton. And so I think McDaniels matches the skill set of a guy like Trey Harris, these guys that are really good at playing off of play action because we're going to see a lot of quick play action
That we
shots.
will.
Trey Harris came from Ole Miss. That's all him and Jackson Dart did was off the play action. They had all their big connections there. But yeah, I just think it sucks for Gadsden because the on the positive note, if you don't need Gadsden this year, you might want and you want to buy him low. I would wait till the season starts and his stock could probably still get lower unless there's an injury that thrusts him into a role. But I think McDaniel's only going to be there 1 year. So, this scheme could be changing just after one single year unless they promote one of McDaniel's guys. But I would assume those guys are going to go with him to wherever his next location is. So Gadsden's tough spot. And feels like, I mean, he's not toast. He's not screwed. But Gadsden was being ranked by many people at like tight end 7 this year in Dynasty. In the very early offseason. So it definitely a little concerning and some red flags up for sure.
And before we head to the rest of these tight end groups, let's help our guy out real quick. No
Like,
bueno.
share, subscribe first.
Are we in favor of Jeremiah Love or Hampton? I feel as Hampton would be better right now, but I think Love's ceiling is higher. I'm gonna let y'all fellas take this one, and then let me get my thoughts together. Pete, what do
I'm
you
going
think?
to take Hampton because Jeremiah Love's currently hurt, and he plays for the freaking Cardinals. So I'm not trusting much there. That was a luxury pick by a team that didn't have the luxury of taking a running back that early. So I'm still of the belief that was owner driven. So that love it. Drafting a running back that high is just going to get everybody fired. And he has the high ankle sprain already, so I think it's easily Hampton for me. But what do you think, Pete?
Yeah, it's Hampton for me. I mean, the ceiling case too. If everything goes well for both of these guys this year, Hampton's going to be the one that's going to succeed more, in my opinion, because that means that offense is much more well equipped to be a much higher scoring offense, and there's less weapons to steal touchdowns from Hampton than there's going to be for a guy like Jeremiah Love.
I'm ready to counterpoint you on Gaston real quick.
Throw it at me. Well, hold on, Paul. But I mean, like, yeah, you know what I meant.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on you real quick.
Back on.
Did he? I think that the Chargers are gonna run a lot of heavy personnel. It's the thing that's in vogue. I certainly believe that Mike McDaniels is gonna, with the moves that they've made, they're kind of telegraphing that they will run a lot of 12 and 13 personnel. So who is the best receiver of that tight end group? It's going to be Arondé Gadsden. So in a 13 personnel grouping, he's going to be more of a big slot receiver, and that's going to be a target-rich role for him. If we don't like Quentin Johnson, if Lad McConkey's not putting up 12, 13, 1,400 yards, somebody's going to have to blow up, and it's definitely not going to be Charlie Kolar who's going to be blocking and trying to save Justin Herbert's bacon by being an extra blocker in there. It's going to be Arondé Gadsden. So as a guy that's slipping in ADP because a lot of people are not believing in him right now, I don't mind having him as a later guy.
I can't hate it, man. Listen, I do think we seen what Arondé Gadsden can do, and he has to have a coach that believes he needs to be out there. I do think where I think no David Njoku just might even be one of those guys that might get lost in the crowd, honestly. But
he's dangerously close to being washed.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not too far, and as long as he's not playing with fireworks, I think he'll be good. But if we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, though, and they're damn near tight end room. If it's not Kelsey, I don't really care about anybody else. I don't even know who is the tight end to for Kansas City, if I'm being quite honest with you. I think it's Gray, Noah Gray, if I'm being honest. Travis Kelsey might be his last year, but for redraft, even in Dynasty, if you're going for a contender, I think he's still somebody to have on your squad, 100% if you're a contender, because I still think he can give you 12, especially in a tight end premium. He can give you that 10 points, 11 points, 12 points, especially with Mahomes at helm and being a quarterback. Now, after this year, then you got a lot of things. He might be out the window and you will be looking for another tight end as your tight end one. But I still think he gives you elite tight end play. But then not non-tight end premium leagues, I guess you can go another way, but I still think he's one of those guys that you would definitely want. As a rebuilder, there's no reason why you need to have Travis Kelsey on. And then especially in redraft, I think he's in that top 5 realm of guys of production that he could give you this year. Do you still love yourself some Travis Kelsey, Pete?
I do. I'm a big fan drafting Kelsey a lot this year. I just think this offense, there's not many weapons. Kelsey's looked good in camp per the reports, and that connection's there. So I think Mahomes is going to go to the guy that he favors, and it's going to just continue to be Kelsey. So reports say he came into camp, looks really in shape, and looks ready to go. So we're getting a massive discount on Kelsey. The hands are the biggest concern. He had some drops last year in some key moments, but it's Travis Kelsey we're talking about. I mean, if everything else is working well, I'm sure the hands will figure themselves out. I'm not fading him because of a decline in his catch ability. But he's just weird, man. It's like he's got that Jason Witten career arc at the back end. It feels like finds the soft zones and defenses, doesn't have to get much after the catch, but can literally just find the spots, a little bit of wiggle, and somehow guys just fall over themselves. Don't know how he does it still, but he's gonna be good this year. I'm in on him.
Yeah, my player here to take is that Travis Kelce will outscore Colston Loveland in 2026. And he can be taken in like the 10th round, 9th, 10th round, whereas you have to draft Colston Loveland as tight end 3. So I'm in on Kelce. I think he's going to produce until he retires. He's just that guy, and he's going to be one of the top targets for Patrick Mahomes once again. So I think he is the most reliable offensive weapon on that team, because we just don't know what's going to happen with Rice from year to year. This is coming from a guy that said Cole Payton is better than Jalen Hurts.
He didn't say Cole Payton is better. He said he'd rather take
Semantics. That's the same shit, bro. I say tomato. You say tomato. I say potato. Go ahead.
You feel? But no, I'm really, and somebody who me and Rocco were both ready to put in the backwood, who I think it might be a little bit too early, depending on how the Broncos still want to view him. Evan Ingram, who very much pissed me off last year. I'm going to keep it a buck. Pissed me all the way off because where you saw from him the previous year in Jacksonville, where he was like, okay, now he's going to Denver. He's going to get, with Bo Nix, it's going to be good times. It wasn't good times.
He was like the 84th guy to be called the Joker.
It wasn't.
The joke's on us fantasy managers, really.
It was. It was a very much, and it wasn't a laughing moment. Should we still be confident?
Can we cut him? Can we cut him off our dynasty rosters yet?
I think no. Here's the case for Evan Ingram, and it's not a good one, but I'll lay out the somewhat of a positive case for the guy. Davis Webb and him are best friends. They played in New York together. Davis Webb was a major reason why Ingram chose Denver over the Chargers last year. He was offered the same amount of money to play in both spots, and he chose Denver. And Davis Webb's calling plays now. So I think that's a factor. Evan Ingram also has been working on his game as a blocker. He's had some really, really good reps the first 2 weeks of the season, which is uncharacteristic of him. And there are reports, and he came out and said it, that he wants to be better as a blocker, be a willing blocker. Mm-hmm. So I think that if there's any hope for Evan Ingram to be anything, it's that he gets better as a blocker so he can get on the field. They would have cut him, I feel like, at this point. If they felt otherwise, they could save money if they moved on from him, but they're keeping him. Now, what does that mean for fantasy? I don't really know. I mean, if it's redraft, you're not drafting him, but you're keeping an eye out on him in the first couple of weeks to see if that usage changes and they finally do get him the ball. But outside of that, for Dynasty, yeah, probably I'm not there yet to cut him unless there's somebody you really, really love out there. I'm sure there's guys you can cut over him depending on how shallow your leagues are. But I mean, if there's somebody you love out there and you're like, hey, I want to cut him because I love Jack Strand from the Falcons, and I think there's a chance that he gets some run this year. I'm not going to say, oh, that's a terrible idea. So that's kind of the case there for him. So we'll see what happens.
Frank and Gino both brought up Justin Jolly. Yeah. Is he somebody? Well, I guess this year it might not be his year to take over, but do you believe that he could eventually be somebody or the eventual future tight end for Denver?
I'm just laughing at Rocco's comment that he's got a lot of Jolie. I love Jolie. I love the landing spot. So I think Jolie has every opportunity, every chance to if he's worth anything to take on a role. Denver doesn't have many holes in this offense. Tight end is on this team. tight end is probably one of, if not the biggest holes that they have. So
Agreed.
we'll see. He hasn't made a lot of plays in camp just yet. Tight end is that weird position, though. I mean, we've seen a lot of players come in ready to go, make impacts. And so it's kind of blurred our minds with how the tight end position typically goes in fantasy football and in the NFL. It's a slow developing position, but we've seen a lot of guys come out hot the last couple of years. So it's made us kind of change our thoughts there. But Joel's a good pickup. He's a good hold for dynasty formats. I don't think he's gonna be anything for redraft this year, but I'm pretty interested in him going forward.
Yeah, I think if you have Evan Ingram on your team, you should have been targeting Justin Jolie for sure in the draft to have him as a handcuff and eventual successor to Evan Ingram. And then lastly, the Raiders, who arguably, and I won't even argue with you, the tight end one in redraft, dynasty, you name it. The best tight end, generational tight end. Shit, I want me to keep going on because I can. Of the only dogs, Georgia Bulldogs. Love me some Brock Bowers. I do. Now, we do have guys that are coming up. I still don't think Colston Loveland can touch Brock Bowers' boots, but what could mess it up for Bowers is staying healthy, right? But if you had your choice, typically, and when you're going either redraft or dynasty, do you think Trey McBride is literally right there with Brock Bowers, or you think it is Brock Bowers and McBride and then the rest, or is it Bowers, McBride, and then you got the rest of the guys?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit here and say that I think Bowers and McBride are about the same level. It's not shade on Bowers either. I just think McBride's had an amazing season last year too. So we've seen what that ceiling looks like for McBride. Both got like the difference for McBride and Bowers is just Bowers is in a situation where there's really not much competition. McBride has to fight for that competition. So that's why Bowers does go ahead of him. But from a dynasty perspective, long term, look, if you think the Raiders are going to go draft Jeremiah Smith next year and they're going to finally add to this wide receiver room, there's going to be more competition there. And then you look at McBride, they're going to probably draft a quarterback next year. So his situation is going to get better. So I think they're both same tier. I'm not going to argue or push back on anybody that prefers Bowers over him. It's fine. I will push back on those that do have Loveland in that tier already, because to me, it's all just speculation, right? It's all just projecting without a lot of substance. Loveland's looks like he's going to be a good player, but we haven't seen enough to justify putting that guy there. I mean, we've seen more from Tyler Warren, in my opinion, to say, hey, he could be there over Loveland. He plays in a dome. He plays in a division that, there's typically high scoring games outside of the games against the Texans.
Yeah.
And I mean, sure, this quarterback situation, Daniel Jones, is kind of spotty, but overall, like, Warren doesn't have much target competition either. And Loveland plays in a situation where he's got two other very solid players, and they're also in an offense that wants to run the football just like the Colts. And they also play in Chicago, which is a tough place to play when it comes to throwing the football. So it's not to say I don't like Colston Loveland, but I do think the steam around Chicago is just it's a little nauseating at this point. I mean, heck, Caleb Williams is on the NFL. I mean, is on the Madden cover, and I feel like I'm gonna go on a rant here, but like I feel like, and I know this isn't the Raiders, but this is the Bears, but I feel like people are scared to doubt Caleb Williams and the Bears because of Ben Johnson and because the situation just looks so good that nobody wants to look stupid. So everyone's kind of on this group think where it's just gonna happen. Like it's just gonna happen. And I mean, it's like, yeah, they got hot at the right time last year. They looked really good down the stretch. Caleb didn't look that like a really good quarterback. He made a lot of really good highlight plays and came up clutch when it mattered. It's the same argument you can make with Bo Nix sometimes, where people will say that about him as well, though I think Bo plays on schedule more. But I just think like people are just scared to take the opposite side of the Bears And so they just don't. And everyone's just saying, yep, it's the Bears. Like, this offense is going to be amazing this year. And it's Ben Johnson. So, like, you got to be in on him. And
Yo,
it just feels like a lot of groupthink right now, in my opinion.
I'm right there with you. Where, like, once again, Chicago is one of the harder places to play, especially when it gets cold. It might look all sexy when the season starts, but it could get very, I won't say very ugly, but Caleb Williams had times of what you kind of pointed to where he will make a highlight throw, but he also will sometimes make a bonehead play as well.
Yeah.
So it comes with the good and bad with them, right? And whether you believe in Roma Dunze, whether should people where people have Luther Burden and he's been talked up so highly at this point, it's hard. People are like, oh, he's going to be the all saving grace, and he's going to be like this top 10, top 8 guy. And I'm having a hard time seeing it. Now, if we said top 15, I'm with it, right? But top 10 ish, I don't really see that in Luther Burden this year, at least for this year.
Yeah.
I need to see them at least consistently go past for over 4,000 passing yards, at least, right? And right when you got a piece of the pie that needs to get passed along, it comes with the territory. But let's go ahead and rank the tight end groups. Rocco, we'll let you go first, man. Rank this tight end group.
Oh man, we having some interesting chat comments on the private chat. Speaking to my age, no, but let's see. I mean, obviously, we know who's at one, so we don't even really have to talk. We don't even have to talk about that.
Whoop, whoop.
Number two, Kelsey, obviously. Um, Number 3 and 4, that's where it gets a little bit more interesting.
Does it, though?
No, not really.
I mean, I'm not high on Gadsden, but I mean, there's no way you put the Chargers behind Denver, right? Unless you really love Jolie that much.
I can't
No.
put. Yeah, I'm gonna have
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's an easy one. It's an easy one. My sleeping meds are kicking in.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I feel like it's fairly easy. Broncos at the fair end, Raiders at the top, Chiefs second, and then you got the Chargers at the third. Just
Yeah.
because of you just don't know how that room is going to turn out or who's going to be the main guy in the room. But that has been the AFC West, man. It was a fun one. Maybe my hot take for Kohler might come back and bite me. Maybe it won't. Maybe I might get called names, but you know what? I got a tough skin, so I'll take it either way. Pete, appreciate you hopping on, man. It was a wonderful 2-hour discussion with you, talking football, talking about the AFC West, and breaking it down by position. Once again, let the people know where they can find you at. We were talking about your Substack and how the content that you've been pushing out lately. Honestly, I knew about you before I really even started playing or started doing fantasy football, just because Pete Nova is a very distinguished name. That I would say, like it just catches your eye. But
Yeah.
let the people know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, you can find me at Twitter at Supernova38. You can find me at Player Profiler. I'm going to be doing, I'm pretty sure so far, I'll be doing Tuesday morning waiver wire shows at 7 a.m. live. And then Thursdays, I'll be doing a ranking show with Jeremiah on the live as well. And then, yeah, you can find me on Substack, all my defensive rankings, which is, kind of been a big niche for me and a lot of a big thing where people find edges and they feel like that's a game changer for them. You can find that on my Substack. I'll still put some stuff out for free. And it's a blend of free and paid on Substack. And then obviously I'm on Twitter putting out a lot of stuff there anyway. So if you don't want to go there, you can find a lot of my takes on Twitter too. But yeah, been a lot of fun. Really appreciate you guys. I know we've trying to get this together. So glad we were finally able to get it done. And yeah, hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Hell yeah, Pete. We definitely got to get you on for our morning rush show, our start and sit show that we do during the season on Sundays, roughly around 8:30 a.m. No, we like to go in our early slot. We started this last year and we had pretty good success. And we get our good fellows in the chat that comes out Hell, even on Christmas Day, we had some good folks out there in the chat. So once again, appreciate you hopping on. Rocco, what do you have to say before we get up out of here, my boy?
Man, R.I.P. Dolly Parton.
Another for the one time, for another time.
2 points. 2 points.
RIP Dolly. And you already know, once again, we are your fantasy playbook to more championship wins. And Rocco, the land of the what?
We are a fantasy football podcast for Dynasty Sickos. By Dynasty Sickos. Everybody's welcome.
Everybody's welcome. Bring your ass on, man. We got more content coming for the rest of the season. Once again, the season's almost here, which means you still have time to tap into the league champ, where you could be the number one ranker and win yourself a free NFL jersey. I got myself an Ashton Genty jersey last year and George Pickens. Rocco got himself a number of jerseys last year. I'm going to have to change that this year, though. But till next time, as always, this is Fourth and Fantasy. Appreciate you, everybody that tuned in. However you view us, where you view us, whether it's on the toilet or in the bed, you name it, we got you. Till next time.